So many Alberones around here. We another Alberone. Where the hell was... Did I ever tell you about the time that I cycled around London on a Boris bike for 5 hours? I probably didn't. I kind of forgot about it myself. So why don't we get into that right now? Basically, at the moment, I'm in what amounts to a bunker underneath the road in Pimlico. It's not 5-star, I'll tell you that for free. It's comfortable enough. I want to say it's better than camping, but maybe it's not. I kind of like camping. I'm not sure I like this. But it was cheap and it was exactly where I needed it to be. But it got me thinking, because I've been cycling again around London on those Santander like city bikes, and I really like them. They're not fast, they're heavy, they're cumbersome, but they're really convenient. But there was this time back in October last year where, because I'm a little bit weird in the head sometimes, I decided that it'd be fun to spend the evening cycling around London. It's a slow descent into madness. I filmed a lot of it because I had my Insta360 Go. I just got it, I think. I'm just gonna play it and you can enjoy my descent into madness. I've done something that people who know me would consider probably a very Sean thing to do / happen. The long story that I'm gonna have to cut short in some ways is that I've just been in Vienna for 7 days for work. It's been lovely and great. I did not leave enough time between the plane landing and the train departing. This is the first Sean part of it. The thing that happened to me. I mean, because of things that I did, but it happened to me. For this trip, I had decided that the best way, because I couldn't get a direct flight, the best way was to get the train to London and fly from Heathrow, which is a 3-hour train ride from Manchester, because you have to take into account the underground. I decided that that train journey was preferable to an interchanging flight. That used to be my favourite restaurant, St. John's. Where was I at? So I thought the train journey was preferable to a connecting flight through Amsterdam that had a 2-hour, 3-hour layover. My only experience of layovers is lost bags and just misery. So I thought it prudent to avoid that. And it worked great on the way. It worked perfectly on the way. It worked exactly as I thought it would, as I wanted it to. It came off without a hitch. The way back, as you may be able to tell right now, did not go quite as smoothly. What happened, and I'm not sure exactly how this happened because it feels like something that shouldn't. When I booked the train from the airport, which involves a trip on the Piccadilly and Victoria line, so as I said, it worked on the way. On the way back, I don't know what I did. I don't know how it happened, but I managed to book the train like far too close to when the flight was getting in. What I hadn't realised was, for some reason, when I booked the train, the time that it was setting off was the time it was setting off from Euston, not the time the tube was setting off from the airport. So, in actual fact, my journey should have started while I was halfway through my flight, which, in the scheme of things, is a fuck up. So you think, well, Sean, you know, any normal sane person would probably just, you know, get on the next train. Well, no, that'd be too fucking easy. The next train had a 5-hour stop in fucking Wolverhampton, and I'd rather have the 5-hour stop in London. The next sensible thing would be to, you know, book the train in the morning, or get a coach or a room for the night, and just go on the first morning train. Well, I did. I'm going on the first morning train, but for some reason, I didn't want to get a room. I didn't want to... I mean, I say for some reason, I just didn't want to get a really shit room, but then I also didn't want to spend £75 for a hotel room for probably what would amount to like 5 hours. Yeah, I would have got a shower, yeah, maybe would have got some sleep. What sounded more interesting to little old me was to book a cheeky left luggage spot near the station, leave my big bags there, and so I thought, let's do a little adventure. And this is the second level of Sean-ness, where I decide to do something weird and go for a 5-hour long cycle around our capital city on a really shit bike. I wonder how many hours I'll actually make. So I don't think I've ever actually used one of the London like city bikes. So I don't know if I lock this up, do I then have to pay another £2? I guess we'll see. But I had to stop because I really need the toilet. And the stars aligned because there was a bike stop near a McDonald's. I wonder if they've got the McPlant thing. That could be some fuel, or I could get best kebabs. Oh, the best. Like the best coffee in New York from Elf. There is to walk for as long as it takes to finish this coffee and then find the nearest new bike and just keep going. But the McPlant was fine. Book of Beau Miles, the backyard adventurer, and I just finished it before I came away. And I feel like that's probably one of the one of the inputs for why I would do this like hike around London for 5 hours. It's like an urban duathlon in some weird way. It's not about competition in any real way, it's about exploration, but it's not about that kind of conquering exploration, because in an urban setting, everything's already been conquered. It's more about conquering something personal, conquering something internal, maybe? Personal, internal? I don't know. Maybe I'm chatting bullshit. Back on a bike, don't know where I'm going. Really wild visiting these places that I've never been to before in this like extraordinary way. And I mean extraordinary, not extraordinary, in that they are the same thing. When you change the emphasis, I feel like it's a different concept. Weird. Nearly 2 hours in. What was that? It looked like a dog. I don't think it was. Maybe it's a cat. It's probably a cat. Even though I'm extensively doing exercise, it's actually starting to get pretty chilly just after the 2 hour mark. Coming up on 2 a.m. I think I started around 11:30, I think. So that's about 2.5 hours. Got to make it till 5:30. So 3.5 hours left. Initially with this weird bullshit plan, I was not even going to use any kind of navigation, but I found myself going around in circles, and so I've whacked out the maps now. I was just driving around East London just in circles and I didn't even realise. And now I'm in a tunnel. Good light though, so there's that. Yeah, no more updates. I don't know where I am. I hope no one thinks I'm indicating. Oh mate, you kidding me? I can't believe they've got scaffolding on St. Stephen's Tower, the one that houses Big Ben, if you're being pedantic and factual, I guess. I see a little silhouette of a man's face. This is too long to be waiting at the lights. Much too long. Legitimately thought I wasn't going to get a turn then. Those lights took forever. So, past Buckingham Palace, it was Buckingham Palace, I heard two like young toffee boys saying, "Oh, let's go home to Buckingham Palace." Like obviously just pissing around, but in the least funny way possible. And then past like Knightsbridge and Harrods, and now I'm in Chelsea, I think. Yeah, let's say I'm in Chelsea. It's fancy as fuck wherever I am. See what I mean? Fancy. Pressing to say this because I'm absolutely flagging right now. But think I'm just passing the halfway mark. Fuck. What have I done? What have I done? Something weird but fun and harmful to no one. That's what I've done. My bum's getting really sore now. Some point soon I'm going to have to park the bike. I quite like those, but obviously no. It's a very nice area. I feel like I probably should be quiet actually. Yeah, I think it's probably time to park the bike again and walk for a little bit and save my behind. Sometimes I worry about how weird some of my notions are and some of the things that I do and how like odd they can be. And I worry what people will think about that. But I think you need to be a bit odd to be a creative, to be someone who creates stuff. I think your brain's got to work in a different way, because how else can you come up with things that haven't been thought of before? Even if that doesn't mean a purely original idea, if it's just putting two things together that haven't really been put together before, you still got to sort of think differently. And people seem to really value my creativity, and I've learnt that in the last week, more than I have for quite a while. So yeah, embrace the weird. Embrace the weird. This is the theatre where I saw the two like made for TV Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sequels. Just a little bit of trivia. Eye-opening a little bit, but definitely a bit boring. I definitely preferred being on the bike because this one kind of nasty woman has been propositioning me a few times because I'm like exploring this area. She's trying to get hooks. Back on foot. Pretty shitty circus. I think it's maybe nearly time to get back on the bike again. There's been some nice moments, but overall this has been quite boring. It's now 4:30 and this whole scenario is getting pretty old pretty quick at this point. The fun's been sucked out of it. But that happens with these things. That's not to say that it's not been worthwhile. I've enjoyed it. Sometimes things that aren't entirely fun throughout can still be enjoyable in a sort of almost an abstract way, if that makes sense. The goal is to make it to 5 AM because then that's like 5.5 hours on my adventure. The problem is I got back to Euston Station just now at like 22 and it's just so hard to like push on and do a little bit more exploring. But then I realised I'd never seen what was like on the other side of Euston, so what I'm doing now. Sort of not what I expected to be around here. I really hope I can pull some sort of edit together from this because I think it's interesting, but I'm not sure what the point of it is. Maybe the point is that there is no point to things like this in real terms, but that sometimes pointless things are worth doing. Who knows? Who knows? And finally back to where it all began. And it's just a smidge before 5. I do have to walk to the station, so calling it a success, a win, a ridiculous outing. I don't feel great about publishing this video because I feel like it paints me in a very weird light. Well, I guess that's just who I am. Hopefully you enjoyed that descent into madness. I really enjoyed doing it. It was uncomfortable and it was daft and it was weird, but it was the kind of thing that kind of gets me going, it gets me interested. And why not? If you want to do stuff that seems weird to other people, but you know that you'll get something from it, just go for it. Do it. People might think you're weird, but there's probably people who think you're weird anyway. Sorry.